Hey guys, Davasaurus here. So this is going to be a continuation of our Teaching Tarkov or Introduction to Tarkov video series in which we will be going over armor and ammo. This kind of playlist and this video is aimed for players that have very little shooter or escape from Tarkov experience, and if that does not include you, don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. Go watch anything else. Literally anything else. It's totally cool. But let's get into it. Cool. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the zones of which you can have be protected by armor, which is just a really stupid way of saying what parts of your body are protected by armor. So for instance, this level 6 armor is called 6B43. This is typically referred to as the Fort armor, because it's one of the first armors that was in the game, and that's what its name used to be, was Fort. As you can see over the mouse here, it says left arm, right arm, stomach, thorax. Wait, thorax, stomach. Yeah, you get it. I'm an idiot. So basically what that means is that your thorax is your chest. All armor will protect, or all body armor will protect your thorax front and back. So from there, the next idea is your stomach. Anything that does protect, that does not look like it goes from your collarbone down to your pelvis. You know, collarbone to pelvis. Will also cover your stomach. What you'll notice when playing Tarkov is that you will get shot in your stomach a lot. You will get shot in your arms a lot. You will get shot in your stomach a lot. That's just one thing to be aware of. Now, not all armor will protect your arms. You see how the Fort here, how this has sleeves or stuff coming off of the shoulders? That means that it has arm armor. Obviously, it goes down to like your elbow, and it's not really arm armor, but we're just going to roll with it. Now, at the time of writing and recording this, unless bullets fragment, they will not pierce your arms. So I made this not so funny joke, and I'm just going to roll with it. You know, you could think of your arms as kind of armor. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go over that. So typically, armors that have this kind of sheathing here, like the 6B47, or if you scroll down, this Gen 4 full, and there's also what's called the Samurai armor, or the new Fort armor. These all protect your arms, as well as your chest and your stomach. Awesome. So after talking about zones that can be protected by armor, the idea is to talk about what types of clothing, I'm going to use clothing in quotes obviously, basically armor or non-armored types that you can wear, and what kind of benefits they have. So the first thing I want to talk about are armored chest rigs. For instance, we have this TV-110 by Wartech, or we have this 6B3TM, what I refer to, or a few people refer to as the battle smock, because it's quite literally what it looks like. And then also this Haley strategic chest harness. The reason being is that it's all pretty good. These are very similar, but the way that they're dissimilar is going to be very, very obvious. So obviously, the first and foremost, the TV-110 and the 6B3TM, or the battle smock here, they are what's typically referred to as armored chest rigs. So they combine armor and they combine a chest rig. So what that means is that this is a level 4 armor, while also providing a similar, actually more space than this unarmored Haley strategic chest harness. This Wartech, the TV-110 plate carrier, basically gives you it's a best approximation of the best of both worlds. You have space to carry a lot of stuff, but you also have armor, so it's maximizing armor and space, in theory. Now, with that being said, sometimes combining two things isn't always a wise idea, and this is just pure conjecture on my part. I like to go with dedicated armor and a dedicated unarmored chest rig. All personal opinion on that front. Now with that, since you are combining two things, you have less overall movement penalties, or penalties for debuffs. What that means is if you look at a lot of this armor, you'll notice both of these are chest rigs, both of these are level 4, both of these are the exact same container size, actually. We're a little bit larger and more hit points on the R's here, the Scandia, but they have different change in movement speed debuffs, turning speed debuffs, and ergonomic debuffs. So the change in movement speed probably is a little obvious here. So it's speeding up and slowing down of your player from like standing still to walking or walking to sprinting. The heavier you are, and the more that these debuffs compound, the slower your in-game character will change its movement. Slowing, going, stopping, faster, slower, what have you. Same thing with turning speed. If you are fat as fuck, I'm just gonna come out and say it, in-game, if you are 100 kilos, you are a heavy dude. Heavy dude. And that means that you're going to be slow to move and slow to stop and slow to turn. Just one of those things where the more weight you have on you and the more of these debuffs, the more it's a penalty, obviously. And then, of course, ergonomics here. So in-game, in Tarkov, ergonomics is more along the lines of how long can you ADS on your weapon before your armors run out of stamina. That's really it. So the more bulky the armor you have on, the more weight you have on, more it's a strain on your body. Ergonomics and arm stamina is one of those. And let's close these. So from armored chest rigs, we have dedicated armor. So I actually have different levels of independent armor here, from level 1, which is only on helmets, all the way down to level 6. So in theory, like, let's take this level 4 armor. This is a dedicated armored vest. So this specific one, you notice how it's got high up, it even got flanges so it covers up to the ears, and it actually has a crotch plate. So this will protect your stomach as well as your thorax, which is cool and great and all. What you'll notice is that it's got some movement speed penalties, turning speed penalties, and ergonomics. Fair, everything's got to have a trade-off. What my opinion is that this level 4 overall is going to be a little better than a level 4 tactical rig. Now the TV110, and this is all dependent on the type that it is, you notice how this material is ceramic. If we scroll up to our TV110, this is actually armor class of steel. Steel is better than ceramic, for instance. But if we go to the battle smock, Titan is not as good as ceramic. So it's kind of one of those where it depends on what you're using, because the TV110 is very good. The battle smock is kind of designed to be, or is in a price point category in which it's more cost efficient, unless you have the money to spend, because the TV110 is almost double the price, just to put that into perspective here. Now, of course, we have our unarmored friends here. This chest harness, Haley Strategic. We have this belt rig, which is huge. We have the commando harnesses as well. So there's a lot of options here to combine what is it that you're doing kind of idea. Now, what you'll notice is that this unarmored they do not have trade-offs. So that's one of the reasons why potentially going with a standalone armor might be more efficient or better than going with a combination. It's all one of those where you have to kind of do a benefit analysis of what you're doing, what you have, what makes the most sense. So, unarmored chest rigs obviously provide no protection. All they do is increase your inventory space, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Who doesn't want to take more loot? You know, that'd be a great thing. That's a good thing. And let's see here. So they typically do not have movement penalties, as you guys can tell. Perfectly fine. Cool. So the last thing that I want to go over in regards to different types of armor, especially at this point, Best way to think about it is not having any armor on at all. So technically speaking, not having armor is having armor. I know, it's kind of a stretch. So what this means is that not wearing armor does not provide any benefit whatsoever in regards to protection. If you take a bullet to the chest without any armor, there is nothing stopping your innards becoming outards on the wall behind you. It just is what it is. Now, you do move faster, so there are no movement penalties, but also considering that at this point, all we have is a hatchet and a glorious mustache. If only I had a Fu Manchu as well. Still, there's nothing really here besides you, your willies, and hungry hippos that want to take your dog tags. So, just be aware. With that in mind, the next thing you want to cover is the levels or classes of armor. In regards to numbers that we can see in client, there are 6 levels of armor. You could, in theory, think about there being 7 levels of armor if you consider being quite literally 0 with no armor on your player whatsoever, technically counting as armor. That's really a stretch, so ideally the first thing we're thinking about here is level 1. This helmet you probably have seen on scavs if you've done any raids, or if you've watched a streamer, this is typically referred to as the Tac Kek. The reason being is this is level 1. IRL, this helmet is a airsoft knockoff version of the Ops Core Fast MT. This provides 0 protection, 0 deflection chance. This is, all intents and purposes, no more protective than the mustache that I have on my character. And at least this one looks cool. And actually it is a 0 in armor class 0, but at least this one looks cool. I mean, it's a fucking fake mustache. That's cool. So from there we have level 2, which happens to be a P.A.C.A. The worst possible armors and the armors that you'll typically find on normal scavs or an early game Tarkov will be of a level 2. So this provides a slight amount of protection against pretty much only Makarov rounds and, you know, the absolute worst ammo in the game, or flesh rounds, cannot pen this or will not pen this simply because they have no pen. But if there is an ammo that has penetration values, this is like shooting through a paper target or a clay pigeon on a range. It provides no protection, it is no better than not having anything, and is ideally only useful to protect against pistol scavs. And it just is what it is. And let's be honest here, it may not be the worst, but at this level, does it really matter? I don't think so. From there we've got level 3. So level 3 is going to be the first level that's going to provide a benefit, and what you'll notice is the majority of the helmets that you're going to run into are going to be level 3. For instance, this penis helmet. Quite literally. This helmet has one of the highest ricochet chances for ammo, as long as it's not super high pen. These two have the same protection level, even though this is a bit more useful because it's got ricochet chance, and this is only useful against scavs. Once again, it's one of those where anything below level 4 is going to be against scavs or AI. I would recommend running at least a level 3 armor for 98% of the wipe experience of your time playing Tarkov, simply because they're plentiful, they're cheap, and they're effective, even if it's only effective against the AI. Now, let's see here, you can typically get them from level 2 Ragman. So as soon as you are about your first week and a half done leveling and questing, you should have level 2 Ragman, and you should be open, hopefully have the finances, to do and typically run a Karasa for the most part. Karasa, UN armor from Peacekeeper, things like that. So Moving on to level 4. So level 4 is where you actually start having a benefit against players. The benefit against players is really the part that matters in a PvP kind of game. So this is typically what's going to happen with armor like this. If you can get it early in a wipe, is you'll survive a lot of engagements, because people are going to be aiming for center mass or head, and with netcode they might shoot you in the arms and in the chest, and unless they're using good ammo, it's not gonna pierce. It's just gonna, dink and dip away. But that you can just repair it. You can heal your chest, and you're good to go. You can quite literally tank shots with level 4 armor. Sorry. Now, of course, this is only really gonna help with early to mid wipe of Tarkov, because once the majority of the player base gets to a certain level and certain financial standing, they can start buying ammo that makes this absolutely null and void and useless. Typically, level armor of this quality is going to peak mid wipe, and then later in the wipe it's going to go down as people get, I think it's level 3, I believe it's level 3 Ragman. From there, you should be good to buy it at price, and you can run it pretty efficient, or efficiently, that is. My expectation is that for the first 3 to 4 months, or 3 to 4 months into a life cycle, this will will take these, but it's just one of those things where it's good armor, so they can take a level 5 in case they need it, or in case they've got the space. But if it's zeroed or something like that, they'll probably drop it for something more cash efficient. I would treat level 5 armor and level 6 armor as you take care of your armor will take care of you. And with that, we've got the fun part of what is level 6 armor. So level 6 armor is going to be the closest thing to Gucci that you're going to get in Tarkov. The Slick, for instance, I actually have one down there. We have the new fort. Sorry, we actually have the old fort. If I can find that, I apologize. Let's go with the green Zuck, which is level 6. And we got the big, bulky 6B43. These are your only options for level 6 armor. Typically, the Zuck is going to last longer than the 6B43, mostly or primarily because of the penalties that are absolutely insane on the 6B43 compared to the green Zuck, and then compared to the slick. What you'll notice is that the slick only protects your thorax. If you think of it, where this armor is going to sit, it's going to sit right underneath your collarbone, and it's going to sit right above the bottom of your rib cage. So it's only going to protect your vital organs, not your stomach hitbox, which is kind of one of those things where you notice that you can move and you can dart and you can do all of these things compared to the Zuck, and then compared to the 6B43. While the Zuck here obviously will protect your thorax and stomach, and then the walking tank here is going to protect everything minus your head. Now, typically, at least at the current time of recording this and writing this, the slick is best in slot for when it comes to armor. How repairable it is, how durable, like how long it will last. As long as someone doesn't catch you, head eyes or head jaw, you will typically survive the majority. You'll typically survive, I would say, at least 75% of your engagements, as long as you are reacting correctly. If the armor will protect you against pretty much everything in regards to what the armor can do. Next to that, some people I've been seeing are going with the green Zuck. I never had luck with it, so I don't typically run level 6 armor, because I'll either die with the slick and it costs too much, or the Zuck will get zeroed and I won't ever know and I'll just die immediately. And then this quite literally is only good for a meme and for a single quest. You need 2 of them. So the next item on the list is going to be calibers. So these are split up between pistol, rifle, shotguns, and then this little guy, 40mm, 40 Mike. So from there, we're going to have everything is split up between CIS/Russian, so it's Commonwealth of Independent States, which is ideally countries that were, I'm going to use the term liberated, after the fall of the Warsaw Pact. And then obviously I'm going to refer to it as NATO, but this is going to be like American. So we've got your P226, your M1911, M4s, SA58s, the like. So basically we're going to have, so for Russian pistol calibers, you have the 9x18 Makarov, the 9x19 Parabellum, or basically 9mm. It's the 9x21 SP13, so this is going to be for the shrimp. It's actually not a bad pistol round. It used to be super broken when it was first added, but it's still a pretty good gun, to be honest. Then we have the TT 7.62 by 25 TT or Totarev. This round is actually the same round that's used in the Papashka. I think I mispronounced that. If you ever played like COD 2 or COD 3, the Russian drum mag SMG, that guy. This is that same pistol, the Totarev. Same thing. So obviously with our pistol rounds, they're not going to be piercing a whole lot. You've got up to anything level 2. Level 2, unless you're using the 5.7 round, that should do up to level 4. Unless it's an Alton, but that's just kind of like the end game kind of thing. What's really nice about these guns is they're super modifiable. The Grok here, this is a Russian 9mm, which is not too dissimilar than the P226R. The reason why it's P226R is because it is single action, as far as I know. Single action and then double action, and I believe the Grok is a striker-fired pistol. Let's see here. So now we've got our Russian rifle rounds. So obviously we have our 7.62 by 54R. This is your Mosin Nagant, the great equalizer, as I like to call it. Ideally, what that means is that if you shoot someone in the head with some version of Mosin round, you're typically going to make them very, very, very mad. And it's going to be great. Going to be dope. Next from there, we have 7.62 by 39. So this is the round that was popularized for the AK-47. Typically, I have this for the AKM N series or the AK-104. also shoots 7.62 by 39. It's a good round. It punches really fucking hard. BP is pretty much the round you're looking for this mid to late wipe. Next to that, we've got, so this is an intermediary cartridge, so this is more of a modernization of the 7.62 by 39. This is the 545 by 39. And this is basically, you know, the modern AK. So that's AK-105, the AK-74, the 74M and N. The majority of AKs nowadays shoot in 545. There are a lot of AKs in this game. Next is kind of more an interesting round, actually, and it's kind of a gun built around, or a gun that's kind of full of contention in Tarkov. So you have your VSS or the AS Val. If you've played Tarkov, you've likely have met someone that's died to this. You've died to someone using this, or if you watch a streamer, they probably use this. The gun shoots really fast. The ammo flies slow, but since it shoots so fast, it's quite literally like a death of 1,000 cuts. But the thing is those cuts come in at like 6 or 7 a second, so you basically die almost immediately. All you have to do is just boop someone real hard and they're gone. They're mad, but they're gone. Next is a fun thing called the Ash 12. So the Ash 12 is like the AK-50 or 50 BMG Beowulf if it was designed to clear rooms. So from my understanding, doing honestly very little research for this, it was initially created for the KGB, or the modern version of the KGB, for hostage rescue situations. It's a round that could cut a man in half but can't go through a wall. That's exactly what this was designed to do. And then we have basically what is a hunting round, and it's the 366. So the 366 TKM comes in many different forms. There is all of the rounds that are in Tarkov, bar 1 or 2, actually exist in real life. So ideally, this is a hunting round that mimics the design and shape of Russian 7.62. It's a little bit different in the cartridge here, but for the most part, they're very, very similar. But this is designed for civilian use and hunting, while normal 7.62 was designed to absolutely murder fools. So yeah. Next up, we've got our NATO rifle cartridges. Obviously, we have our 5.56 and our M4. That can also go into an HK, can go into an AK-101 and a 102. You've got your 5.56 NDR. It's a round that most Americans or people are probably familiar with hearing, simply because, well, it's pretty prevalent. The M4 is quite pressing, quite standard. Next up, and I picked this one on purpose because it is nicknamed the right arm of the free world. So we have our SA-58, and I chose this specific one because, well, it's just very obvious. So from there we have our 7.62 by 51. This is NATO 7.62. It hits like a brick shithouse, you know. It hits hard. Really nothing more to say there. What's interesting, what you'll notice about this specific one, the M62, is this tip is it's a tracer round. That's really about it. Same thing with this tip on the 5.56. It's also a tracer round. Next up, we have the MP7, and we have the 4.6 by 30 millimeter. So this is a round specifically designed for this PDW, or the MP7. There's an A1 and an A2. The A2 is a bit more modifiable, and most users will use it. They use the same round. This was designed by HK to have similar, or it has similar characteristics to 9x39. It is a subsonic armor-piercing round. It's designed to pierce armor. It's designed to fuck kids up, and it's designed to do its job well, and it does. Next up, we have another PDW, and that is the P90. Anyone that's watched Stargate knows all about this. The only thing is, we've got a few rounds here. It shoots. It's also a subsonic weapon, but this one is just not integrally silenced like the VSS. It shreds people. It's basically a bullet hose. P90 is the P90 is the P90. Next up from there, we've got shotguns. So shotgun rounds come in 3 different flavors. We've got buck, we got slug, and well, now we've got spicy buck, ideally. What that means is that buckshot, for anyone that has no idea what buckshot is, it is a cylinder that is full of metal BBs, ball bearings essentially, and they fly out in a cone. The farther away, obviously, the wider the cone gets, and if they hit you, they hurt like a motherfucker. You know, it's like getting shot any other time. It sucks. But yeah, it's like ball bearings traveling. For instance, each ball bearing here is traveling at 385 meters per second, and this is obviously 12 gauge. We have 20 gauge. We have the 23 gauge. Now, flechettes are, when I say spicy buckshot, literally they are metal darts that fly. I'm going to read this. 12x70 shell loaded with razor sharp flechettes for 12 gauge shotgun. It's never that effective as even small buckshot, but trust me, it's better not to be shot with this. So flechettes are like small little darts, and the best way to use them, and the real way you use them in Tarkov at least, is they're great at shredding armor. It shreds armor better than anything else in regards to shotgun rounds. You just get real close, pop them once in the chest to zero their armor, pop them again to cut them open. It's cool. It sucks. It's fucking metal. Last but not least, we have slugs. So slugs are shotgun versions of bullets. For this one, I chose the AP-20s because they are pretty much the best ones. 12 gauge. AP-20 slug, it'll shred through most armors, like your mid-tier AP rounds or armor-piercing rounds. It's pretty fucking cool. It's basically a rifle round, though. Next up, we've got our 20 gauge. So this is called the TAWS. For players, the TAWS will never work, but for scavs, it's broke as fuck. And with that, the 20 gauge, we have 20 gauge buckshot and 20 gauge slugs. Pretty standard stuff. It's just a larger barrel, wider barrel, 20 gauge. Last but not least, we have one that was recently added with this with this patch. We're at like what 12.8, and it is the KS-23. And what's special about this is that there's a thing called a star round. So this star round is, for all intents and purposes, a Zarya. That's really it. It's a flashbang for anyone that's no idea what a Zarya is. It's a flashbang that you shoot that only the person that is on the front side of the barrel gets blinded. You get a little disorientation, but you don't get blinded at all. And it's broken. The only way to survive it is to get lucky with desync, like me 2 days ago. Yesterday. It's crazy. It's cool, but it's crazy. The KS-23 is like shoulder breakingly, because it's a 23 gauge. And quite literally, like, people will take these and saw off the front, make it even shorter, break your wrist, fucking break your shoulder. It's cool, but I'll watch someone else shoot it, you know? Shotguns I'll roll with. That thing, I'm afraid of no gun. That thing scares me. But with this, we've got shrapnel, and we've got the barricade, which is just your solid steel projectile, which is a slug. So last but not least, we have what's called an AGS. So right now there's probably some really cool thing going on where I'm like on reserve and I'm like charging it, and now I'm just probably firing it. So ideally that is an in-placed grenade launch system. It shoots Russian 30mm, like how the 40mm GL is kind of NATO. It's a grenade launcher. Plain, simple. You can't walk with it. You have to go up to it, you have to charge it, and then you shoot it. Only 2 maps have them currently. There's one on customs and there's 3 on reserves, or reserve. I don't typically use them. Most people don't use them unless it's a gigantic meme, because people will typically watch them and then snipe you off of them. I went offline to capture this clip, that clip. It's pretty fucking dope though. It's pretty fucking dope though. Now, after that, there's actually going to be another clip of me when I, for the 40mm. 40mm works the same as you guys are probably used to, or it's referred to as the noob tube for anyone that has played COD. But what's nice about in Tarkov is that it is a standalone grenade launcher. So that's a really nice touch. But also, it sucks to die to it. Cool. So the next kind of idea is to talk about what types of ammos these are. So obviously I kind of said specifically like what they're for, and I kind of talked about a few things, especially with the shotguns here. But ideally, for rifles and pistols, ammo falls into 3 different categories. So you have one that's called, typically referred to as hollow point, ballistic tip, or open tip. You have full metal jacket, or FMJ, and then you also have armor piercing, or AP. So, and let's see here, I think this PZSTGZH technically counts as armor piercing. Yep, the plus P is actually like plus penetration. So what this means is that this is a armor piercing round, even though it's a crappy armor piercing round for 9x19. If I go to what I currently have set up, so this AP 1.3, this is a armor piercing round. Cool. What that means, and it's probably going to be blatantly obvious to anyone here that can read armor piercing or read into that, it's designed to go through armor. It will have less flesh damage because it's focusing more on you could say burrowing through or tunneling through or piercing armor than it is actually expanding on impact, like let's say a hollow point or ballistic tip like ammo would do. I think this Hydra Shock is the perfect example for the 45mm. See how this tip is literally hollow? That's what that means. And so what this does is when it contacts human flesh or a target of some sort, it actually, when it breaks the skin, and as soon as it starts to slow down, it spreads out. But as it continues forward, it basically rips and tears through the human body. It's really cool. It's also terrifying. But yeah, so pretty much at what point what you should be doing for using hollow point ballistic tip compared to FMJ or compared to using armor piercing. So early wipe, when people aren't wearing armor, or the armor they're wearing is absolute crap, is the only time which you should be using ammo like this. Or if you're going to be using, you should be shooting at their legs because they're unprotected. The reason being is that when it hits something, a face shield, an armor, it's just gonna like, you know, it's not gonna, I'm like, you know how I'm like tapping that? That's like not doing anything to it. Imagine it breaks. It's not doing anything to it. So what that means is that it really doesn't, as long as they're wearing something, this Hydra Shock ammo, which A is expensive and B looks really cool, doesn't matter at all, because it's not going to do damage. You're just gifting the other player gear. When you want to take their gear, you know, that's like not how that's supposed to work. So with that, we have full metal jacket, or your standard ammo. And it's kind of nice to go with the FMJ version of 3.6 TKM, because quite literally, this bullet is solid. It is not, you see how it's not pointy, it's not designed to penetrate anything, it is just a solid, call it solid copper jacket. That you fire it, it hits. It doesn't do anything special, it's not designed to do anything crazy, it's just designed to hit it. That's it. Now, as you find better ammo that is not necessarily very armor penetrating, and not super flesh damaging. You're kind of in this realm of what's called FMJ, Full Metal Jacket. It's the majority of what the ammo in Tarkov is. It's just designed to be a projectile that hits, that connects. It does damage to armor, it does damage to flesh. It's not super good at anything. It's your jack of all trades, master of none kind of ammo. And typically for this, you're gonna, instead of shooting at legs, you're kind of shooting upper torso. Obviously you want to shoot at face, but you're not really, you just want to connect and pray. Not really spray at legs and pray. And of course, the last thing that we have, the last type, is probably pretty obvious here. We have armor piercing. Armor piercing rounds, like our slugs here, our 7N1, our BP, our PS12B, M856A1, 62, SB13 here. All of these are designed to do one thing only, and that is get through your protective layer. Go in and greet your insides. That's it. They are designed to penetrate armor. Now, since they are once again designed to penetrate armor and not expand on impact, like your flesh damage rounds, they will do more, they will penetrate armor, but it will take, let's say, more than one shot penetrating that armor to neutralize your target, because they are designed to break down the armor, to make holes in the armor, not necessarily get in and then do massive amounts of internal damage. That depends on the bullet design, like 5.56 and BT, but are designed to get in and tumble, where 7N1 is designed to pierce your face shield and piss you off. And then the PS12V is really designed to be a flying brick, but we're just going to gloss over that one. So depending on what you're working with is going to depend on what the quality is, what time during the wipe, what kind of armor is the other person wearing. If you're using a pistol and the guy's got a face shield, you pretty much have to run away. If they're not wearing anything and you're using an Ash, well, you just kind of laugh maniacally as you just shoot at them and make them disintegrate and their loot just drops on the ground like you're playing World of Warcraft. It all depends on what you're doing and what kind of ammo you have. But typically, and there's going to be links in the description below to a kind of a master list of how to find ammo and what is good, what is high pen, what is high flesh damage. And so you can go from there and do your outlets, your loadouts. Now, with that, our shotguns come in 3 different flavors. We have our buck / spicy buck. We have our slugs, and then of course we have the one special round called the Star. Solid projectile, designed to penetrate armor and piss people off. Many little bullets designed, many different little things designed to make people hurt. That's all it really works. And of course, we have our high explosive for our AGS, and then we have our 40 mic or grenade launcher. Obviously, they're designed to go boom. They are high explosive. There are smoke rounds that don't go boom, but why would you not want to go boom? You know, that's like half the reason to get it. It's the only reason to get it, you know? Now, what's cool and what's neat is that depending on, and I chose this one specifically to accentuate this, you notice how above my cursor, it says 2 to 3 meters from the muzzle, which means that this fragmentation, or every single grenade that fires out of the AGS as well as the 40 mic, the grenade launcher, has to arm in air. So after you shoot it, there is a mechanism inside of this, and this is also in real life and in game. That means that it has to travel a certain distance, or in theory, there's a certain amount of time which it travels in 2 to 3 meters, or 10 to 15 meters, for instance, is the other round in which it arms and then it can explode. So if you use this and the person is literally in your face, it will do damage to them physically, but it will not explode because it did not arm. Now, of course, this is an area of effect or an area denial type weapon, so you don't need to hit them. You just gotta get like close to them. It does explode. It is an area of effect. There are different types that have larger explosions and smaller explosions, and some like this one that arm really quickly, that are designed for CQC, which is not really the truth because it's a grenade launcher. But whatever, it's Tarkov. As opposed to others that are designed from building to building, as opposed to down a hallway, for instance. They have to arm to explode, but if you don't hit the guy, you just gotta get close, which is neat. Cool. So the last thing I want to go over, and which is relatively new to the Tarkov landscape, is called Battle Buddy. So Battle Buddy is something that was created by another Tarkov content creator. It is for the Androids and iOS, and it is a mobile app. And so what you can do here is as you can clearly see, we got firearms, ammo, body armor, so a lot of cool stuff here. So if there's anything that you have questions about when it comes to, hey, I was shooting this guy with this specific ammo, like for my instance, I was shooting someone with a 5.7, so I was using SS190 for the 5.7, which is the most armor pen ammo that it has, and this guy had a Alton helmet on. So that's kind of awkward because I shot him twice in the face and twice in the helmet, all clean hits, and he lit me up. I dead. So I can actually go into the learn portion here, and I can do price checks, penetration, and damage calculation. But if I go to penetration chance, I can then go to my armor, and then I can go and say, oh, I can click any armor in the game currently. Right, so let's make sure this face shield is the correct one. And then we're going to go into the ammo, and now I know that I was shooting SS190. Because it's 5x7 by 28, penetration value of 37, damage value of 49. And so there's the ammo that I specified, SS190 on the right. Let's just hit that boy again, if I'm not blind. And then let's make sure we have the correct face shield. So this is going to be any ammo in the game, or any armor in the game. We could do tactical chest rigs, for instance. So if I was shooting some guy that had an AVS on, first shot, 55% chance to pen. I don't have to do any of the thinking. I don't have to take any of the guesswork, find out any of the work that goes into making this app and making these correct. I can just think about, all right, what about if I wanted to shoot someone with 12x70 rip to the chest? Well, it's an instant death. All right, so what if I did leg? What you'll notice is that it did the extra damage. This is every pellet, by the way, for this specific round, this rip ammo. But as you shoot people, and what you'll notice is that it's doing, and it shows properly that the damage done to body armor or bodies will kill you, or will do certain things. What you'll notice is that we can go into PMC and we can specify, let's go to Rashala, where he has extra health. So if we black one leg, two legs, arm, and then stomach, then he dies because the bosses have extra health. So we can say, let's say one of Rashala's guards, Killa's got extra health, Sturman and the gang, glucose, and you can, instead of taking all of the work and all the figuring out of the calculations, you can think about, oh, I didn't kill this guy, but what did it look like he had? What kind of gun was I using? What kind of ammo was I using? But from there, you can go and click what kind of ammunition types. You can go and scroll through literally every single ammo in the game. Every single ammo in the game. Right, so even 45 AP, 45 FMJ. You can go through and you can see all of the armors. You can do any sort of calculations against them. So if you have any questions about what kind of armor What kind of melee weapons? What kind of meds do you have? What kind of attachments can I put onto armor that are at what level, as well as what kind of gun attachments can I do? Absolutely. So it's incredibly invaluable. For me personally, I do not use this app, but I've been playing Tarkov for a very long time, so I don't necessarily need to know or find anything that I could learn from this, but I have a lot of friends of mine that are new to Tarkov that I recommend this app to, and they talk about it every day. Apparently, you can do different tests in this, you can do different things here, and it's incredibly cool. Best thing about this, I think, is the price check. And this will go and it will find out. So right now this is currently sorted by most expensive item. So that means that the Red Labs keycard is the most expensive item on the market, and it's currently at 84 million rubles. Holy crap. I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. So this is really, really, really neat. Now we could search. Let's say I wanted to find PS12B. 6, so it's this ammo is currently selling for 683 on the marketplace. Let's say that I wanted to search for a slick for 721,906. So this is how I've done a little bit of research and talking to the developer, which happens to be Veritas, and to be honest, I did it on his Twitch channel. And so what wound up happening is there is a API that was developed by, I believe it's Morphe2K. Yeah, Morphe2K developed an API that was validated by Battlestate. And so Veritas uses the API to pull once an hour. So he does API calls to the database for this, and then this can do all of the searching it ever wants to do, and it updates once an hour. So that's really, really, really neat. Cool. So I understand that this was a long one, and I do apologize. I also apologize that this was like a long time in between 101 and 102 to 201. Hope you guys found this beneficial. Please let me know in the comments below if this was helpful, if there's anything that I can do for you guys. I do plan on doing a weapon modification kind of primer or add-on to this, so it's not just, hey, here are guns, but I can walk through what my builds are, what builds that I do early, mid to late wipe, things like that. That's more geared towards, hey, I don't know how to make this build system work. I don't understand how this works. What are the requirements to get this to work kind of idea. So once again, if you guys like it, please let me know in the comments below. You can share with your friends and family. I stream on Twitch. If you have any questions about Tarkov on these videos, anything, stop by on my Twitch channel. There's a link down below, but it's twitch.tv/Davosaurus. I'm streaming about Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern to about 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys the next one. Hopefully, it's not going to be like 3 months in between them. But yeah, I'll catch you guys the next one. Peace.